In this video, I'm going to show you how you can combine Facebook ads with AI voice agents to get more appointments for your business. So as you can see on screen, we have Meta Ads, Retail AI, and N8N. These are the tools we're going to be using. And when you combine all three of these, you can create a very powerful system for getting more appointments. So how does this work? So first off, it starts off with your prospect seeing your ad. And once they see your ad, they're going to click Learn More, and they're going to see an instant form. So these are the forms that appear within the actual Facebook app, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, or any of their other platforms. There's an instant form that makes it so people don't have to leave the app to actually provide their info. Because a lot of people have funnels set up that take people off of the platform and onto their website. And while that does work for a lot of use cases, the problem with that is that it's very high friction. So that means that people have to do a lot of additional steps to actually provide their info and get an appointment booked. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the friction, the amount of effort it takes to actually get people to book appointments. And that's exactly what instant forms do for us. Now the next part of this, and this is the secret sauce, is that we set up an AI phone call. So as soon as our prospect submits the form, they get a phone call. And on that phone call, this is where we do the lead qualification and actually book them into an appointment. So what you're seeing on screen right now is an example of how I actually did this for my own business. And my business is selling AI voice agents to other businesses. So I set up an ad campaign where I had a learn more call to action, which took them to this form. And since I'm the person that's selling AI voice agents, I simply put on the form, would you like to receive a demo phone call? And on here, they could say yes or no. They provide their name, phone number, and as soon as they submit that form, they got a phone call from one of my AI voice agents whose objective was to qualify them. So it would ask a few questions about their business, and then it would book them into an appointment on my calendar. So the question is, why do we actually want to implement this for a business? Why is it so effective? Well, like I mentioned before, the main thing is that it reduces friction. So instead of having so many additional steps required to get somebody on your webpage and booking into your calendar, this way, it just takes a few clicks, a phone call, and just like that, they're booked into your calendar. The second reason is that it improves the customer experience, because when you're hopping on a phone call with somebody, you can ask questions. So this allows the prospects to ask questions about your business and actually get the answer. Instead of them having to watch your 20-minute long VSL or try to browse your webpage, they can literally just talk to your voice agent, which is connected to a knowledge base, which has all the answers to the common questions your prospects have. So it really does improve the customer experience. And it allows you to overcome any doubts or concerns that they might have on that phone call, which can be very short. And the last reason you might want to use this is that it's going to save you time from qualifying leads. So imagine that you have a bunch of leads coming in, booking appointments, but then you get on the sales call and you realize, oh, this person's not qualified at all. You can use AI voice agents in this exact system to qualify your leads. So you can ask questions like, hey, how much revenue are you guys doing? And ask that on the phone call that your AI voice agent is managing. So those are a few of the reasons why this works very well and has lots of benefits. Now, how do you actually implement this into your business? So the first thing is you're going to have to integrate this into your CRM. So in my case, I use GoHighLevel, and it turns out it's very easy to integrate GoHighLevel with Facebook Instant Forms. If you just go to your settings and integrations, there's a really easy button that you can push, and it will connect your Facebook Instant Forms into your GoHighLevel. So that means whenever somebody submits one of those forms on your Facebook ad campaign, all the prospects' information gets transferred over to your GoHighLevel. Now, if you don't use GoHighLevel, another alternative is to simply have Facebook output those leads that come in through the instant form into an Excel sheet or a Google Sheets file. And then from there, you can set up an N8N automation that reads that Google Sheet and adds it into your CRM. Then the second part of this is to set up the N8N workflow, which is where you're actually going to be defining the automations that power your AI voice agent. So for example, you want to have an automation set up for booking appointments. And as you can see here, there's a webhook, which is basically what allows the automation to be triggered. And then it triggers this book appointment node in GoHighLevel. And then we also have automations for checking time slots and for initiating the phone call when somebody actually submits the form on the instant form. All right, so last thing I'll tell you about is my experiment with doing this setup for my AI voice agency. And basically what I did was I set up a Facebook ad campaign where I was targeting restaurant owners. So my idea was I'm going to sell AI voice agents to restaurants so that instead of them having to pick up the phone every single time somebody calls them, they can just have an AI voice agent that takes people's orders and actually feeds that into their POS. So that was my idea. So I was targeting restaurant owners, And I did this exact strategy of running a Facebook ad and using an instant form. And as you can see here, it was a very small experiment. I just spent $25 a day for 3 days, and I got 23 meta leads, and I fed all of that into my GoHighLevel, and then I initiated phone calls with my AI voice agent. And what you're seeing here is a spreadsheet I used to keep track of the whole experiment. And the way I set this up was I have a timestamp column so I can see when the call happened. I have a call transcript column so I can actually read what they were saying on the call. And I also have the call recording. And then I made a column to record the outcome. And as you can see, a lot of people simply don't answer, which is unfortunate. And a lot of people also are simply not qualified. And this was kind of the big mistake I made with this campaign, is that my targeting was not very accurate. So the way I set up my ads, it kind of was too broad. I was targeting too many people, and that led people to just accepting this AI phone call just because they were curious and they're like, oh, I want to listen to some AI voice agent speak to me. And they were actually not qualified at all. So my recommendation to you, if you're going to do this, make sure that your targeting for your ads is very accurate. Because when you do instant form campaigns on Facebook, you actually don't have a pixel. So you can't take advantage of any pixel data you had previously. At least not as far as I know. Maybe there's a way. But by default, instant forms don't have pixels. So the only way that Facebook knows who to target your ads to is by the content of the actual ad itself. So that's why a lot of people these days say that the targeting is the creative itself. And this is especially true if you're using instant forms. So that was my lesson from this. I didn't book any calls from my little experiment, but I know that if I get the targeting right, that this is a very effective way to get more appointments booked, because you've reduced the friction by so much, and you can qualify the leads and book them into appointments all on a phone call. And that phone call happens instantly right after they show interest by filling out a form. That is a very strong recipe for getting more appointments booked. So hopefully you guys found this video interesting. Maybe you learned something. I'm going to keep on experimenting with this. I'd love to hear your feedback, and goodbye.